Now call the meeting of the Gordon County Board of Commissioners to order. Please rise for a moment of silence, prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Today we pray for those whose health is compromised, that you would heal them. For those who have been in the path of devastation from the recent hurricane in Florida, we remember those who have lost their lives suddenly, and we hold them in our hearts and families forever, changed by grief and loss. Rest in God as the day unfolds. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate minutes. Recordings are overwritten following approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. The first item is the approval of the minutes for the previous meeting held August 24th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes. Are there any guests concerning county business at this time? So please state your name and
Brandon Vogel, here with Safe Carbon County again. You guys remember me. Hey, just keeping you guys updated on our positions and activities and things like that. Received notice you guys are altering the wording of or in the process of altering the wording of our recommended language, and that's totally fine with us. A couple of the other townships also altered the wording, as long as it still contains the idea that it should be under local control rather than state control in terms of, the application of sewage sludge. That's still helpful to us. And we totally understand that, like, you might want to alter the wording otherwise and things like that. Otherwise, just also a reminder that, like, if it hadn't already been a problem elsewhere in the country, we wouldn't be here. We have no agenda other than trying to preserve farmland for future use in the county, and it has proven to be an issue elsewhere in the county, largely for things that we currently here are not testing for. And just kind of a reminder of that.
I have a question, Brendan. What gives you the level of confidence that a local municipality has sufficient science, agricultural expertise to make the call in regards to application of these particular products onto the soil?
I think the problem with it right now is that the way that the Right to Farm Act is worded, the proper testing simply isn't being done. And that data is already out there, but at the state level, we don't recognize the problem of PFAs. Whereas if you put it under individual municipalities, at least some of those, including ours, hopefully would recognize the problem of PFAs based on what is going on in other states and regulate against them.
So regulate against a more required testing,
Or require more,
that you
yes,
believe
yeah.
the state or federal
Absolutely.
government
I think
already.
it's entirely possible to do this safely, but I don't think the proper precautions right now are being taken where it's currently under control.
Okay.
Whereas I think, like, especially if the people who live around the farms were more involved, I think there'd be more impetus to do the proper testing and look at the research that's out there.
Thanks.
if I understand you correctly, then that you're saying that maybe we should be doing more testing, on all this, so.
Well, to my understanding,
That we would,
sorry.
no, that's quite all right. Is that a reason why we should take a wait, see until the proper testing and proper procedures for these are in place before we make a decision?
So the problem with that is that it's already being applied. And there are already places in the country that have suffered the result of not putting those in place before they apply it. There are farms in Maine right now that are basically shuttered because they're contaminated. And I think that this is going to be a long-term process regardless. We're under no illusions about that. The science will be ongoing while this fight is ongoing. But I think rewording the Right to Farm Act would make a big step in, giving people control back over what goes on in their neighborhoods. And yes, in terms of the science and what we're currently regulating, right now we don't have the right to look at the science that's already out there and say, hey, we don't want this necessarily, or we wanna test for this. You know, if we decided, if Carbon County decided to say like, hey, there's a lot of, you know, data that shows PFAs are common in the substance, you know, we wanna regulate that, right now you can't do that, and that's what we're fighting. That's really what this referendum is about.
Right, the example you give of Maine, does Maine have stricter testing requirements or expanded testing than currently exists in Pennsylvania?
They recognize that PFAs are a problem, and a big part of what we're worried about is that that's starting to get recognized on a federal level. The federal government is starting to talk about regulating the PFA levels. And if that were to happen at a federal level, we would all of a sudden find ourselves subject to those regulations, and then any farmland that is currently safely applying this stuff could wind up getting shut down if that happens at the federal level. We don't want to see that happen.
So you use the term though, they recognize, so does
Yeah.
their law require testing that brings these, perhaps contaminated soils to light?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's why those farms in Maine right now are currently shut down. It's
Right.
because you can't use a farm that's contaminated with PFAs.
So their laws are stricter than
So far
Pennsylvania's
as I
when it comes?
understand it, yes.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other guests? Yes.
My name is Linda Chrisman, and I'm also with Safe Carbon County. I want to thank your administrator, Ms. Arner, for letting us know what's happening on the resolution. Safe Carbon County's position is very simple. Currently, if you are harmed by your neighbor's use of sewage sludge, you have no recourse. You can't go to court, even if you can prove that you were damaged by runoff from a farm that's using sewage sludge. And you can't go to your local municipality for any kind of help. What we're asking for is that local municipalities have some ability to help their residents. Under the original Right to Farm Act, farmers were protected from lawsuits and from municipal interference if they were conducting normal farm activities, and as long as they weren't harming, threatening to pollute a well or a creek, or harming the health and welfare of residents. Under those circumstances, then the municipality could intervene. That's what we would like to see, a return to that. As far as regulations that a local municipality could impact if we had our way, what they could do is, currently under the law, you're allowed to put the sludge within 300 feet of a stream. We think that's way too small. So a municipality could say, in our township, we want it 600 feet from the stream. We want it 600 feet from a well that you could pollute. We want to say, some farms are putting it on 5 times a year. In your municipality, you could say, you're allowed to put it on 3 times a year. Those kinds of things could be enacted by a municipality. They wouldn't be banning sewage sludge, they would just be intervening on behalf of residents who are being harmed by this stuff right now.
So Linda, to clarify, so right now municipalities can say, you can't have a in-ground septic within, let's say, a half a mile of a high-quality water source, yet they can't provide restrictions on the application of sludge, sewage sludge, within closer proximity than that.
Municipalities right now have absolutely no say
Yep.
about
Yep.
where sewage sludge is applied.
Yep.
If we had our way, they would be able to do what you're suggesting,
Okay.
which is have some, I mean, if we can prevent sewage sludge from going into Mock Chunk Lake, why can't we prevent sewage sludge from going into a neighbor's well? Thank you.
Any other guests concerning county business?
I'm gonna chime in on this a little bit, or is this, I wanna continue on this a little bit. I have maybe a little bit different view of this than maybe other elected officials do, but, this is not tiptoeing through the tulips. I mean, this is where we're gonna be walking through sludge eventually. And I know the commissioners can't act on this, but I think with the overwhelming amount of communities that have signed on to this, I think it's something that the commissioners should do, because this is gonna ripple across the state and maybe something can be done about it. You know, just a couple communities here and there aren't gonna save it. And I see this all, I said, we've entered into a $10 million bond for saving water through our, you know, for what we're doing. And to me, this defeats all that purpose of what we started with. And I know it goes back to these regulations, but we questioned this in Palmerton at the old zinc company site where they filled. And now here's more fill coming from other states or other communities that are coming to Carbon County. And again, we have the D&L trail, we have the trains coming in, we got 2 brand new hospitals that are in our area that we can build off of. And are we gonna wind up having another Superfund site in 30 years from now? But, and they go back to that everything is tested and everything's fine, but people have not been taking medication like they were. They're saying they've been doing this for 50 years. People have not been taking medication, chemotherapy, all these different medications that's going into your system, that's going into the ground. And I always say, what goes in the ground that's being fed, what is that grass being fed to? And I think some of these other ones from the other states, they're finding out that it is getting into possibly the milk. And I don't need that here in Carbon County. I said, I come from a small farm in Franklin Township, and I talk to all these different farmers, and there's a couple that want it. And so we're gonna allow this, and we have to allow it because it's a state regulation. But I think if we sit here and not have a resolution, it's not gonna help the cause across the state. It's plain and simple as that. Thank you.
I add one more thing.
One more.
I'm sure you love talking about sewage sludge this much, but on the 5th, we intend to go to Bethlehem City Council and ask them to stop doing business with Synagro. They currently pay Synagro to take away their solid waste. Synagro takes that waste and dumps it on farms in Carbon County. By the way, there are only about 12 farms in Carbon County that use this stuff. We'd like to keep it at that, no more than that.
It's a very difficult decision to make. I hear the other side of the story from some farmers as well. We certainly want to protect the water and land. You know, a lot of you, I'm sure, have your own on-site septic systems. And where does that go? Where does that get dumped? We have a situation where your tanks are pumped, they go to a landfill, and that creates other problems. There's 2 sides of the story. So, you know, I understand Ms. Arner's position. We listened to the, unfortunately, Mr. Arner was not here when we did meet with a farmer to hear, you know, some of the other side of the story. So, puts us in a dilemma in the cost increases in food on different alternatives because of the synthetic fertilizers that are being used. Food costs have skyrocketed dramatically in the last couple of years. So that's a concern as well as the cost of food and what happens to the waste when it does go to a landfill. Are we not still creating some of a problem, but at a different site? One more time.
And on that note, we absolutely understand the viewpoint of the farmers, and yes, it's a huge cost savings. You just have to ask yourself, why is it free? You know, and if you think food's expensive now, wait until you have to shutter some farms for toxic waste, you know, being on the farm, and then all of a sudden that farm can't be used at all. That's in nobody's best interest. We absolutely are doing this in support of local farms. That's, you know, we want to see them continue to be able to produce things, and we don't want to see what has happened in other states happen here. That's we as a group, we've spent a good amount of our time trying to preserve farmland in the interest of farmers. That's what we want. We were honestly, and honestly, I don't hold it against a farmer for wanting to use that stuff. I think in a lot of ways they're kind of getting played, in that they're being told that it's safe and that it's cost effective. But in reality, the stuff that we're worried about isn't being tested for. And that's, yeah, we think they're being misled, really, in terms of like the savings, the short-term savings that they're seeing in using it.
Okay, thank you. Any other guests on the farm issue on the, yes?
I have been doing some research about other farming techniques that are helpful and beneficial to farmers as well as the people who end up eating what they produce. And there is something called regenerative farming. And it is being used in a lot of places, and I have been reading about it. And they do not use sludge, they use other techniques that work more with nature, and they're producing healthy food. I also want to remind everyone, and a lot of people in this room are in the same situation I am in. If you're our age, we have DDT in our bodies. My sister died at the age of 48 from a cancer, and she had high levels of DDT in her body. In 1945, the government not only said it was legal to use DDT, they were promoting it. It took citizens like us until 1971 to get it outlawed. So I want to thank the commissioners who are being proactive and want to prevent something like that from happening to us, to our children. Because there is a food, we teach our children at the Nature Center about the food chain. You start with healthy soil, and or soil that may not be so healthy. It goes into the first level, which would be like the grasses and the plants. They're consumed by the next level of the food chain, which would be the grass-fed cows. And then people eat the beef, drink the milk, eat the cheese. It would end up in our bodies. So we need to be proactive and not let that happen. So thank you for forward thinking.
Your name, ma'am, I'm sorry. Your
I'm
name and
sorry,
where
I
you,
should have said that. My name is Lee Kunkel. I was a member of the committee that went around promoting the clean water, the referendum.
okay, thank you. Anyone else on the sludge issue? Not, Ms. Miller?
Yeah, my name is Robert W. Miller Jr. I'm the coroner of the county, and I'm just a little bit concerned. I have 7 deputies under me that go out and pronounce step. 6 of those deputies are certified under the state attorney general's office, and I'm very, very proud of that because there's only a handful of counties that can say that. Lehigh County can say it, Northampton County can't. I know that for sure. But anyway, I put in a request to take one of my deputies along with me to the coroner's conference to get him certified because 6 of them are certified, but Bruce isn't. So he would get his 8 hours of training and he'd follow under the system because you need 8 hours of continuing education training a year to keep your certification. I was just told this week that the commissioners denied him, and I'm wondering why.
The question, Mr. Miller, is where has he been? Has he been taking the recertification for the last several years?
Yes, he has.
Well, according to your reports to the Human Resources and that, this person has not been on one call in 4 years and 7 months. Now, don't you think that should be questioned by the commissioners if you're sending one out of basically county funds? I don't care if it comes from cremation fees or what, but if you are not, you have a deputy on the books for 4 years and 7 months, and that person did not respond to one call, or according to your reports. Don't you think that's questionable, whether we should be sending someone like that to us, or spending money on someone?
I can answer why you don't see it, is because the former coroners, which is Phil Jeffries and Bruce Nalesnik, they don't put a bill into the county if they pronounce death. They refuse to do that.
So how many calls have they gone out on?
I have to look on Phil's. I know Bruce was just out on one in January of this year.
But then you're not properly reporting those, calls. There was a right-to-know request, that was submitted by a former candidate for that position. And in that report, this name was missing from the report. It didn't ask if they were paid or not. They asked what, how many calls were responded to by your different deputies. That name wasn't even on your report.
Phil's name was on it,
Whose?
Phil Jeffries.
Yes, but the other one was not on.
That's because his call was in 2023. They didn't ask for 2023.
Well, that was in 23, but it was 4 years previously.
Okay.
It was not recorded.
Okay,
So why, according to your answer on the right to know, his name wasn't even on there for those 4 years. That's why I'm questioning it.
okay, so he didn't go on any calls those 4 years.
Well, that's why I'm questioning. If he doesn't go into calls, why should we send him to school or pay for him to go anywhere if he's not going on calls? It should be at least documented that he went on calls, whether he's paid or not.
Okay, we document, like I said, I have it documented in January, he went on call in January 2023.
Well, it's not documented in our records of HR.
So Bob, to clarify, all the other deputies are certified, have met the requirements, and this is the one individual
Yes.
who has not met the requirement, all right?
Yes.
How long has he not met the requirement for?
Just this year.
Oh, just this year?
Just this year.
All right, so every other year he's had his 8 hours of mandatory training. Just so you know, it is not on the agenda for today. It will be considered, if I recall correctly, is it next week? Is that
No, it
correct?
is actually.
It is on there now?
It is on.
Oh, we did put it on there, okay.
It is on the agenda today,
For both.
and I just wanna make a comment about this. I didn't, with Bob, I mean, we did have discussion about this before, but I just wanna say, like, you're an elected official just like any elected official. And I think we don't micromanage your position, and I think after you coming in here today, and I look at it like we're looking for volunteers and staff all the time. And, this is a little bit of a different thing now. You had used him, or he was used already, and you wanna use him in the future. So I don't know what you're looking at here. We never really had a discussion until right now about this. And it looks to me like you need people. And if we deny this, how do we know that if you have people that aren't quitting or retiring or something like that, that you need him to fill in for? And maybe it is a reporting issue, but this was never brought up before. So I would even recommend in the future that maybe even the people that are volunteering or whatever they're doing, that it should be recorded. Then we don't have this, disruption here. But for me, I really see no reason why to turn this down. But that'll be discussed, and it is on the personnel report.
Bob, is there another way that he can get his 8 hours of training without the expenditure for this particular training out in Johnstown?
I think the training programs, have gone already. There's one in Schuylkill, there's a couple in Mifflintown, and
Right.
stuff like that. This is the Corners Conference.
Right.
Which is a weekly conference.
Mm-hmm.
And you get eight hours a day, and he wants to go 2 days, and I go 2 days.
Right.
Because on the corner, I wanna go.
Yeah.
And so I'll get 16 hours, and he would get 16 hours.
Right.
But I think this is the last one
Yeah.
of the year.
Right, because they don't do any online training, certification, continuing ed.
Not-
Yeah,
not
all right,
those.
all right.
They're looking at it, but,
Yeah.
too many things that get pushed under the table, and I don't think they should be. Yeah, my deputies, I know we only have 7, and I'm 8 that's certified, but, we're basically covering the county pretty good. I think we are. And, locally, I think really what we have a deputy in each city. Like Nesquehoning doesn't have any, but Lansford has one, Summit Hill has one, Palmerton has one, I usually cover the Heighton, so we're not on call like a lot of these other counties are. We're basically by areas. So if I have something in Palmerton, I call Carol and say, hey, I have a death in Palmerton, can you take it? So we're a little bit different than some of the counties. And I really don't wanna go to an on-call person that he has to be paid for hours he's not working. Like last week, I had 4 calls on a Tuesday, and I didn't have any till Sunday, which is unusual, but, hey, that's the way it happens.
On your,
Okay,
compliment here, there's 2 names on there. That's because you just did to remove, 2 names recently from your compliment.
right,
Is that, did you replace them yet?
no. And the one was just a transport person who moved to Ashland. And the other one, she was a deputy and she's certified, but she moved to, I think she went to Luzerne County, I think. That's why I took them off.
When I looking back at your reports again, that person just recently moved?
She's been moving over the last 2 years, she's been moving different places. You're talking about Emma.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
because I'm going back because there were, the one that you removed was not on one call since, before 2019, according to your records.
Right.
Emma was not, whose last call she was on was 2019. So, that's why I questioned it when I see these reports and there, people aren't going, but yet you had sent some of these previously to get recertified and they're not going on calls.
Yeah, she's the only one that was recertified. And she was recertified many years ago.
Without looking at the records, we're going back that far, so.
Okay, that's. So I didn't know if it was the money or
No, no, it's the lack of reporting or, when I look at the reports and see that nobody's going on calls, shouldn't it be questioned? Wouldn't you question it?
I don't know, I have his name is down on the list when he goes, and I know transports, I know he doesn't put a bill into the county. The former coroners, I don't question them because they don't wanna be paid out of county funds, which, hey, that's their prerogative. I don't get paid, my chief deputy doesn't get paid, and they don't get paid, so there's only 4 deputies that get paid and 4 deputies don't get paid.
But the first deputy does get paid,
He doesn't get paid per call.
not per call.
Salary.
He's salaried at over $10,000 a year
Right.
for a part-time job. Now that you bring that up, we don't see him listed on there and how many calls he went on, but you see the transport calls? I have that here.
Jennifer you should have the number of calls, I just gave it to you.
Yeah, I would have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Transports, it looks like a conflict of interest in your transports, from your first deputy to his spouse, is doing all, majority of the transports.
That's because,
So, if your
That's because
first deputy
Jerry
is
had a
going
heart
out and
attack.
calls, does he get paid for the transport as well?
no,
Does he transport?
no,
So he calls his wife out to transport?
right.
Okay.
Jerry had a heart attack, that's why.
For 4 years? 4 years ago?
I think it is 4 years ago.
Okay, all right. Any other guests, you finished? Done?
So what do I do about Bruce?
You just wait
It's on
till the
the agenda.
motion, it's
Wait
on
for
the
the motion.
agenda.
Till the
see what
personnel
happens.
report, yeah, wait till the
Okay.
personnel report, I should be here shortly.
No problem.
Any other guests concerning Benton County business? Hearing none, we'll move on.
The next item is the opening of bids, Carbon County Homeless Facilities, Peaceful Nights Women's Shelter, fiscal year 2020 CDBG CV, general and electrical contracts. Mr. Binder?
The Controller's office received no bids.
This time, since there are no bids, according to the county code, we can now go out and seek a contractor who is willing to do the work. So, unless we have somebody on mind, if anyone's interested in, looking into the project and whether they would like to, submit a quote for, should, supply that to us, I guess,
Yeah,
or?
planning and development.
Planning and planning and development, contact planning and development, if you're interested in this project, I would suggest you get a hold of them for the details and the scope of works, so that we can, get this finished, okay?
And it might not be a bad idea to reach out maybe to the Builders Association, see if they can help, so.
We did on this last one, Rocky.
They didn't.
Yeah, Deb sent out to everyone, and Jason had his contact. Already reached out this morning to a couple folks who we worked with before to see their interest in doing it. Yeah.
All right, the next item is the report of executive sessions held.
There was one executive session held on Friday, August 25th at 9 AM for personnel reasons.
The department reports, the budget transfers.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
There are no supplemental appropriations. Expenditures, approval of payroll check numbers 75454 through 75524. Direct deposit check numbers 6056459 through 6056904 for the payroll paid through the payroll fund checking account for all county funds totaling $691,595.74. This is the payroll dated August 25th, 2023.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Approval of check numbers 238295 through 238389 for expenditures to the general fund clearing account totaling $1,313,005.21.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
The treasurer's reports, we have two.
Move to accept.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
The personnel report for county departments.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
The acknowledgements for courts and row offices.
Move to, no.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
No, for the request of Bruce Lesnick on the coroner certification. There were several other reasons, which I will not go into here.
There was no correspondence received. Advertising for approval. Authorize the advertisement of the invitation to bid for the Community Development Block Grant Project, Lehighton Borough Public Facilities Roof Replacement, Lehighton Senior Center, fiscal year 2019.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Communications for approval and execution. Exhibit A1 to the interoperability and site sharing agreement with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania through the Pennsylvania State Police, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to facilitate the collection of emergency telecommunications equipment amongst the Commonwealth and the county owned or maintained radio towers and facilities, no cost to the county.
Move to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Information technology for ratification. Acceptance of the quote received from Johnson Controls of Allentown, Pennsylvania for the Lynx Secure server rebuild at a cost of $7,200 under Pennsylvania State Contract 4400023962.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Lanta MATP Program for approval and execution. The service agreement between the county and Lanta for transportation services provided under the Medical Assistance Transportation Program for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 at the trip rate cost of $113.45.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Planning and Development for approval and execution. Change order number 1, extending the completion date to the contract with Barker & Barker Paving Incorporated of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for Palmerton Borough street improvements, fiscal year 2019-2020, Railroad Alley, due to concrete availability and easement issues. The new contract deadline will be December 18th, 2023.
Move to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
The Solicitor's Report?
Thank you. The county received a banner request seeking a motion for approval and execution of the banner request from Family Promise of Carbon County for the Family Fun Festival taking place September 9, 2023 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The banner to be displayed September 1st through September 9th of 2023.
Move to approve and execute.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
And motion to adopt Proclamation 9 of 2023, acknowledging International Overdose Awareness Day, August 31st, 2023.
Motion adopted.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
And would you like me to read that into the record?
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
I will. Whereas International Overdose Day is recognized globally to raise awareness about risks of overdosing, honor the individuals whose lives have been lost from overdosing, and acknowledge the grief felt by the families, friends, and communities. And whereas Overdose Awareness Day aims to publicly challenge the stigma associated with substance use disorders and overdosing. And whereas thus far we have had 15 deaths resulting from drug overdose in Carbon County this year. And whereas every person deserves our best efforts to prevent injury and death from overdose, and it is imperative to support overdose prevention policies and projects and to help make sure everyone understands overdose is a social issue which impacts victims' families, friends, and communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Carbon County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim Thursday, August 31, 2023 as Overdose Awareness Day in Carbon County. Signed this 31st day of August 2023 by the Carbon County Board of Commissioners. Next is likewise a motion to adopt Proclamation 10 of 2023 for adoption of the proclamation acknowledging the month of September as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
And with your permission, I'll read that into the record. Whereas prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed non-skin cancer and the second leading cause of cancer deaths in men, wherein 1 in every 41 men will die from the disease. And whereas prostate cancer will be diagnosed in 1 out of every 8 men, generally occurring in older men, with approximately 6 out of every 10 men being 65 or older, with African American men having a higher rate of diagnosis than any other. And whereas prostate cancer usually does not exhibit symptoms in the early stages, necessitating the need for proactive screening tests to detect this disease before it advances. And whereas all men are at risk for prostate cancer, and we are encouraging all men of the county to increase their awareness of this disease and the benefits and importance of early screening for prostate cancer. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Carbon County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 2023 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in Carbon County and urge all men to take action with proactive and early screening, detection, and treatment of this disease. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and seals this 31st day of August 2023, the Carbon County Board of Commissioners.
And I would like to stress that one, whereas the awareness of this disease and the benefits and the importance of early screening for prostate cancer. It is curable if it's caught in time, so certainly want to stress that routine checkups and screening is extremely important.
And lastly, under tax assessment, seeking a motion for approval and payment of a refund of county real estate taxes to Irma J. and Denise Liebensberger. They are due a refund due to a court appeal lowering the assessment from $40,049 to $32,161. This is a decrease of $7,888 in the assessment. And the tax bills were paid in the discount period, resulting in a refund due of $94.70.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Any further business? Hearing none, commissioners' reports, Mr. Honor?
I don't really have anything at this time. I just want to make the public aware of it, that there's an awful lot of events going around in the county, that some of these communities need support. I won't name all of them, but I think if you look at the paper, even, I think, Channel 13 online has them listed, but there's a lot going on from Summit Hill to Palmerton and all over. I think even you can see some of these that we approved for the sign, so I hope that extends out. And I think the Times News might post that for us, correct, of all the events maybe. That's just a suggestion.
Is that it?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Bob, in regards to coroner activities, I would ask that in the future, in order to help us justify the expenditure of funds for training, that Bruce or other deputies are documenting maybe those activities that aren't currently being reported. I know you had mentioned Bruce going out for pronouncements of deaths, and maybe some transports and other things that aren't necessarily being portrayed in your reporting. So if you just add that as an addition, so that when these types of issues come up, we can say, well, we see the evidence of why this individual needs to have this training because he or she are being utilized. And I think that was the issue. We didn't have awareness of some of the things Bruce was doing kind of off the books. So we need to get that on the books so we can justify those expenditures on that. Secondly, next to last report on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It's been a couple months now since Carbon County and Catholic Charities have ended our program. However, the reporting is lagging from the state. Matter of fact, their dashboard is still showing our report from March. So we have at least one more report to go. But as an interim, and I think next to last update on the ERAP program, total spent on households to date was $5,332,269. And the number of households receiving assistance in Carbon County, 1,611. That's all I have.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes, a couple of items here. You notice on the agenda, the communications 911, the approval of the agreement with PEMA for the upgrade of the site sharing and interoperability of the microwave dishes, et cetera, for communications. And this is under the site sharing agreement and the under the 911 fee bill. Without the passage of that bill, that funding goes away. Now, that expires on January 31st. Currently, Carbon County gets about $1.5 million directly towards the operations of the training center. They also get the interoperability money that funds this type of thing, which could cost about $250,000 to put microwave dishes at different locations. we certainly have some bad areas in Carbon County that we need to improve our communications. But this is where we get the funding from the 911 fee bill that everyone pays. Currently, it's $1.65 per line. It was proposed at $1.97. I know the county commissioners have done their study and working with the communications center directors, et cetera, in Pima. The cost of operating is more like $2.85 per line. They are requesting $2.30. Here's the problem. There's about 15 session days left in September. They don't come back till the end of January unless they're called back. The same in September. Next to nothing will get completed by the end of September before the elections and before they go on break already. Not gonna get done in January. Because it's gotta go through the House, it's gotta go through the Senate, it's gotta be approved by the governor, it's gotta go through the appropriations bill and et cetera, you know, and it's a long process. And unless we come up with an agreement, all counties are gonna lose this funding. And who makes up the bill is the county taxpayers. It's like other bills that we've been complaining about, not only the fee bill, but the lack of having a complete state budget. We lose that approximately $14,000 in revenue in the recorder deeds office. The court's offices, and maybe Tyra can speak to this, is the reduced rate of $21.25 that they cannot charge right now since July 1st. I don't know, Tyra, if you can explain how how much of that comes back to the county of that fee was reduced, you know, because of legislation not being passed from $40.25 down to $19. So,
I don't have that information in front of me right now. I won't
you
know
know,
that.
but it does, some of that does come back to the counties, correct? And likewise in Patonetary's office, I don't know what other offices are affected. But these are the things that affect our county budget, because things don't get done in Harrisburg. And we need to, we just got a video this morning from CCAP on what happens when we don't have the 911 fee bills. We don't upgrade equipment, helps with our salaries. Next gen 911. Now, when we have a call, I don't have my phone with me, but dispatcher can now, if you have an active shooter incident, there's something going on in the school, you can take that cell phone. Communication center can do a one-way. If they're given a link, they can watch what is occurring in a school or active shooter or any other type of circumstances that the police should be aware of. They can give them a visual update through their cell phones, one way, so that the perpetrators or whatever else is going on in that facility will not see it unless the communications center allows it to. So it's a lot of things going on. It's a lot of high tech. I can't keep up with it myself, but these fees are extremely important. What happens if nobody's there to take the call? I think we should personally have more people on staff. We're short-staffed at times because, you know, we talked about it before, I've talked about it before. It doesn't take much to overwhelm a communication center. If you have a major fire, you have a major, in one end of the county, you could have some kind of police incident going on in another area, and maybe 6 dispatchers aren't enough, and a lot of times we're down to 2 people during the night, and in hazardous weather conditions. So it's, you know, extremely important that our legislators get off their butt and get back in session and pass some of these bills that really affect the county. So that's my pitch on that. My other notes here. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the elected officials day we're putting on at the training center. What we plan on doing, and I think the media got a copy of this as well, we're trying to educate our local elected officials, supervisors, township supervisors, borough councils, managers, mayors, candidates that are running for office on their duties, responsibilities, and what we have here in the county. At this point in time, we just met again the other night. What we plan on doing, you'll be able to, those that have never been in the comm center can take a tour. We'll have our communications, mobile communications bus on scene and to tour that. We're looking at active shooter scenarios where the police are gonna put on a demonstration. You'll be able to observe from the catwalk, and they're working with EMS and setting up an extraction of possibly wounded people and extracting them from a building. You'll be able to participate if you want in other areas of scenarios. We're hoping to be able to do a little bit of a live fire, at least get them outside of the room in the burn tower, let them put on some gear, put an air pack on, learn what it's like to pull a hose line or hook up to a hydrant or flow water, nozzle reactions. We're looking at several different possible scenarios at this time, trying to narrow it down, which we feel are the most important, that the elected officials are aware of the training. Because, and I think I mentioned it last week, and I just can't, express how gratitude of the police officers, how they have gotten involved in the last year in the training. In 2 days last week, 14th and 15th, they had 17 police officers from throughout the county with 9 instructors doing the active shooter training. Because we all know if that happens in a school district, 17 officers is not enough. We need every person we can get to help eliminate the problems as they arise. So responses have been slow so far. I'm hoping in the next week we get a better response of people that are really out there that care and want to know what's going on in, by their emergency services. Not only fire, it's police, EMS, emergency management, and the police as well in getting involved. So come out, see what's going on, and learn a little bit about what the training that all these people are going through. So they put in hours and hours of time. I think you can spend maybe 3 hours in your taking out of your busy schedule to see what they really do and what the amount of training that they are involved in. And so far, we're well over 500, maybe over 600 people now that have gone through that training center, documented, names, and that courses might be as little as 2 hours a day, but it could be 8 hours a day and several days. Some of the courses are, 40 and 60 hours long. So that's my pitch. If you need any more information, get a hold of me. So, okay, that's all I have for today. Okay, meeting adjourned. Amy, you wanna go first?
Sure, good morning. With regards to the sludge resolutions, you guys have a timeline on when you're expecting that to go for vote?
No, I don't.
May I have copies of the proclamation for today? And with the fact that you got no bidders for the Peaceful Night Swimming Shelter, now you're able to ask anybody, what happens if you get nobody by the time the deadline hits?
And we only have a month to get this done, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't get done. That's the reality. It won't get done.
You guys would have to give the money back then?
Right, yeah.
So it's extremely important, and I asked the news media to stress that today, that we lose that funding and upgrading the homeless shelter there. I don't know how many residents they have right now. I don't know if
Yeah, I don't know.
Chris offhand, but, and it varies, it goes up and down, depending on whether to a winter month's coming. Certainly it's gonna be more, but hopefully there's contractors out there that are interested. Get a hold of our planning office and, get the details, and we'll need a quote ASAP to get under contract and get the job done. We're running out of time.
Now, I know you have a bidder for the plumbing contract, where, that is kind of in limbo then, until you get everything?
Well, it is because like the plumbing has to be framed for like for a shower and things like
Okay.
that, and then there might have to be electric run to it for lights. So all 3 of them have to go together. If you don't get 3 of them, that's, I don't know if it's like, maybe it's one of those things, the plumber, maybe if he has friends that work with him that are electricians or framers, that they could get together and give us a reasonable bid, and it could wind up that we'd actually even have to look at the bids also. I mean, you could, if this is a $40,000 job, it can't be $1.5 million. You know what I mean? It has to be within reason to do it, but it's a shame that we can't find somebody.
Now, you put it out to bid, you didn't get anybody, what makes you guys hopeful that you'll get somebody now?
Well, I think we're gonna actually expand our reach, and initially, the Planning and Develop reached out to the normal contacts. Carbon Builders Association reached out to their contact. In the initial bids, we didn't necessarily make a focused effort to push outside of Carbon County. We want to provide that opportunity to county businesses. But we've already have started talking, for example, to Boyle Construction this morning. Was a lot of contacts in the Lehigh Valley to see if they can look into potential companies that might wanna do the work.
I think a lot of it is too, the bidding process is not always the easiest for these small contractors to come out and give a good proposal, or, we lack that expertise still, unfortunately. I don't know if there's any way we could set up training for a bidding process and how to properly submit bids. And you see, even the big contractors that we get sometimes, they make mistakes and then we have to throw the bids out and they just little tiny errors. And that's the stuff that really hurts the bidding process, and without the proper bidders, we don't get competitive prices as well. Some people are afraid to bid because of that reason. Well, I'll never get the contract, so they don't even apply, or don't even, so a lot of little reasons, I think.
And interesting, I had a call this morning from Aggie about the individual who had been doing some work down at the shelter. And, well, why did you not bid? They said, one, they didn't have the 10% they had, that had to be set aside. Again, small business there. And secondly, they actually had an expectation that a lot of people were gonna bid, so they didn't have a chance. Now I do know Jason, who's working this, Jason Skrimkowski at Planning, every person he reached out to, he said, come in, I will sit down with you and work you through the process to ensure you accurately fill out the application so it's viable. But unfortunately, I just, no interest in it.
And then just one confirmation, so the project has to be completed or just started by September 29th?
It has to be completed,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, that's all I have then, gentlemen.
What work are you looking to have done, and where is it being done at for this project?
Down on First Street in Lehighton at Peaceful Nights.
Peaceful Nights.
Basically, just down a building or two from where their existing men's shelter is, but this is the one that is focused on single homeless women.
And what's the work you're looking for these people to do?
Plumbing, electrical, and general contracting, framing primarily.
And where did the money come from that you would be losing?
CDBG COVID money that was provided.
And then I have a question, or just talk about it being, why did you decide to make today International Overdose Awareness Day? Like why is it so important to get that out?
Because Carbon County has a serious drug problem. Train of thought here, but our caseloads, as we pointed out earlier, because of where we're located in Carbon County, the Interstate 80s, the traffic stops on Interstate 80, they get pulled over. We're like the epicenter for the drug issue or drug problems. It's in all our schools, some worse than others, and we're losing far too many people, but our caseload is so high, and we just need to keep plugging along. We just got the statistics lately from our drug and alcohol, and comparing Carbon with Monroe and Pike counties, and ours are certainly above average for those particular counties and the overdose deaths and stuff. So, yeah, it's extremely important that we make that more awareness, and we are looking into advertising through the opioid settlement funds on doing more advertising in Carbon, Monroe, Pike in a joint effort. And instead of duplicating the same commercials and everything, we'll get more bang for our bucks with what we're committing to funding for those projects, and we committed $200,000, correct, then, on advertising billboards, where the concentration, and I do believe will be on some of billboards, but in schools in particular, then doctors' offices, et cetera, and where we need to get the word out and educate the people on drug overdoses, and that help is out there and where to go to get that help. Okay,
Where are some of the places that people couldn't get or go to get help?
where are they?
Yeah.
There's the hotlines, phone hotlines, I don't have that offhand. Through the hospitals, they have they go to the hospital with drug overdoses, the EMS, they're always transporting for drug overdoses. I don't know how many calls, I haven't been tracking it like I used to, the amount of calls, through the comm center. But those are the people we need to, educate, going to doctor offices and the hospitals in particular, and getting that information out and making sure they're given that information to where to go for helping.
And then lastly, just September National Prostate Awareness Month, to talk about how important that is to get that kind of out there.
Well, I think it's a kind of self-explanatory, having a friend just gone through the surgery and bringing it to our attention, the importance, and a person wanted to do something to get it out there, that hopefully after going through some recent surgery, hopefully everything is okay, they believe so, but that person wants to make sure that people are fully aware of the dangers of prostate cancer, how prevalent it is, and to get routine screenings to ensure that they're cancer-free. Like I said before, it's treatable if caught in time. So something you need to talk to your doctor about, and making sure that when you go for your routine checkups, make sure you're being screened for those things.
That's all I have, thank you.
Good? Anything else new to me? Okay. Have a good one.